It was a cold evening when Anna, a young single mother, sat in her dimly lit room holding her crying baby. The small apartment was silent except for the sound of her child's hunger cries. Her heart ached as she looked at the nearly empty milk bottle, just a few drops left. She had searched every corner of her purse, hoping to find a few spare coins, but there was nothing. Her job at a local cafe had ended a week ago, and her savings had already run out. With no one else to turn to, she felt her world closing in. In a moment of desperation, Anna decided to send a message to her friend Sarah, who had helped her a few times before. Her fingers trembled as she typed. "Sarah, I'm so sorry to bother you again, but I really need some help. My baby hasn't had milk since morning. Could you please lend me a little money? I promise I'll pay you back when I can." Her eyes were blurred with tears as she pressed send. She didn't even notice that her phone's autocorrect had slightly changed a digit in Sarah's number. The message, instead of reaching her kind friend, went to someone completely unexpected, the personal number of Ethan Blake, a billionaire CEO of a leading finance company. Ethan was in the middle of a business meeting when his phone buzzed. Used to receiving only professional messages, he frowned when he saw the notification from an unknown number. Out of curiosity, he opened it, and froze for a moment. The message wasn't spam or a scam, it was a heartfelt plea, raw and genuine. The words, "My baby hasn't had milk since morning," hit him like a wave. At first, he thought it was a mistake. Maybe someone had typed the wrong number. But as he read the message again, he felt something stir inside him, a rare feeling of empathy he hadn't felt in years. He could sense the pain behind those words, the helplessness of a mother trying to survive. Meanwhile, Anna waited anxiously, clutching her phone, hoping for a reply. She didn't realize that her small act of desperation was about to change her life forever. That one accidental message, born from hopelessness, would soon connect two completely different worlds, the poorest and the richest, and begin a story that would restore faith in kindness and destiny. Ethan Blake, the millionaire CEO, was known in the corporate world for his sharp mind, precision, and cold efficiency. People often described him as a man who made decisions with logic, not emotion. But as he reread the text message from the unknown number, something deep inside him shifted. It wasn't a business proposal or a request for investment, it was a cry for help from a mother trying to feed her baby. For a few moments, Ethan just stared at the screen, unsure of what to do. His assistant called his name twice before he realized he'd gone silent. He quickly excused himself from the meeting and stepped out into the hallway, still holding his phone. The words, "My baby hasn't had milk since morning," echoed in his mind. He couldn't remember the last time something had made him feel this unsettled. At first, he suspected it might be a scam. After all, people often tried creative ways to reach wealthy individuals. But the tone of the message was too sincere. There were no long stories, no exaggerated pleas, just a simple, honest message full of quiet desperation. Something about it felt painfully real. Driven by curiosity and an instinct he didn't quite understand, Ethan decided to look into it. Using his resources, he asked his personal assistant to trace the number discreetly. Within minutes, the report arrived. The number belonged to a woman named Anna Miller, living in a low-income neighborhood on the outskirts of the city. No criminal record, no suspicious activity, just a struggling single mother who had recently lost her job. Ethan leaned back in his chair, the phone still in his hand. For the first time in years, he felt something stir beneath his calm, businesslike exterior, compassion. He thought about his own childhood, about the years after his mother passed away when his father worked endlessly, leaving him to grow up alone in a house filled with silence. He remembered what loneliness felt like. Without overthinking, he replied to the message. "You sent this to the wrong number. But, are you okay? Where are you right now?" Anna's heart skipped a beat when she saw the reply. She quickly apologized, embarrassed and flustered, explaining that it was a mistake. But Ethan couldn't ignore the thought of a hungry child and a mother in need. That one mistaken text had already broken through his walls of indifference, and it marked the beginning of something extraordinary. Ethan couldn't shake the image from his mind, the image of a poor woman alone with a crying baby, struggling to find milk. That single text had stirred emotions he thought he'd buried long ago. The following morning, he found himself unable to focus on meetings or numbers. Against every logical instinct he had, Ethan made a decision that surprised even himself: he was going to find her in person. With the address traced from her phone number, he instructed his driver to take him to the location. As the sleek black car entered the narrow, crowded streets of the city's poorer district, Ethan felt a strange sense of discomfort. He had spent years in glass towers and luxury offices, far away from this world. Now, surrounded by small, worn-down houses and children playing barefoot, he saw a side of life he had almost forgotten existed. When the car stopped in front of an old apartment building, Ethan stepped out, drawing curious glances from neighbors. Dressed in his tailored suit and expensive watch, he looked completely out of place. He climbed the narrow stairs until he found the door with the peeling paint, apartment 3B. He hesitated for a second, then knocked gently. The door opened to reveal a young woman with tired eyes and a baby in her arms. Anna blinked in confusion, not recognizing the stranger at first. Her little boy whimpered softly, resting against her shoulder. "Are you Anna Miller?" Ethan asked, his tone calm but warm. "Yes," she replied nervously. "Can I help you?" He smiled faintly. "I think you sent me a message by mistake." Her eyes widened as realization hit her. "Oh no. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bother you. It was an accident, I was just trying to message my friend." Her voice trembled with embarrassment. Ethan shook his head gently. "You didn't bother me," he said. "I just wanted to make sure you and your baby are okay." Anna's lips parted in surprise. No one had ever cared enough to ask. For a moment, silence filled the air between them, two people from entirely different worlds, connected by a twist of fate. Ethan looked around the small apartment, the empty refrigerator, the thin blankets, the cracked walls, and something inside him broke. That visit, meant to satisfy his curiosity, became a turning point. It wasn't pity he felt, it was respect. In that humble room, he saw true strength, and he knew he couldn't simply walk away. Ethan stood silently in Anna's small apartment, feeling the weight of everything he was witnessing. The cracked walls, the flickering bulb, the faint chill in the air, it all told a story of struggle, resilience, and quiet dignity. Anna didn't ask him for money, even though it was clear she was in need. Instead, she tried to hide her hardship, offering a faint, embarrassed smile as she rocked her baby to sleep. That humility touched Ethan deeper than any grand speech ever could. "I'm sorry for the confusion," she said softly. "I didn't mean for that message to reach you. I just panicked." Her eyes filled with tears. She tried to blink away. Ethan shook his head gently. "Don't apologize. You did what any mother would do for her child." He reached into his coat pocket and handed her an envelope. "This isn't charity," he said firmly, seeing her hesitate. "Think of it as help, just until you're back on your feet." Inside was enough money to cover her rent, food, and baby supplies for months. Anna's lips trembled. I can't take this from you. You don't even know me." Ethan smiled faintly. "Maybe I don't. But I know what it means to feel alone." Something about his tone made her pause. Behind his confident appearance, there was a quiet sadness, the kind only someone who had known loss could carry. Over the next few days, Ethan couldn't stop thinking about Anna. Her courage, her sincerity, and the way she put her child first reminded him of his late mother, who had raised him alone after his father abandoned them. He decided that simply giving her money wasn't enough, she needed stability. He arranged a job interview for her at one of his company's local branches, ensuring it matched her skills and schedule as a mother. When he told her, she was speechless. "A job? Are you serious?" she asked in disbelief. Yes, Ethan replied with a warm smile. You don't need anyone's pity, Anna. You just need a chance. For the first time in years, Anna felt hope flicker in her heart. She accepted the offer with tears of gratitude. Ethan's kindness had gone far beyond expectation. Not only had he helped her survive, but he had also restored her dignity. What began as an accidental message had now become a story of compassion, generosity, and second chances, a moment where a billionaire's heart recognized the strength of a mother's love. In the days and weeks that followed, Anna's life began to transform in ways she could never have imagined. The envelope of help and the job opportunity Ethan provided were only the beginning. With financial pressure eased and a stable income secured, she could finally breathe. Her baby's cries were no longer tinged with hunger, and she could sleep at night without constant worry gnawing at her heart. Yet, the most profound change wasn't material, it was the sense of hope and dignity that now filled her life. Ethan, too, felt a subtle but profound shift. What started as a fleeting act of kindness, a response to a mistaken text, grew into a meaningful connection. He admired Anna's strength and her unwavering dedication to her child. Unlike the people in his world, who often acted out of greed or self-interest, Anna's actions were pure, honest, and selfless. There was something grounding about her, a reminder of life beyond boardrooms, profit margins, and corporate strategies. As he continued to support her, Ethan made sure to maintain boundaries. He never wanted Anna to feel indebted or manipulated. But he couldn't help visiting occasionally, checking on her well-being, and sharing advice to help her grow both personally and professionally. With time, mutual respect blossomed into genuine friendship. They laughed together, shared stories of their lives, and slowly learned to rely on each other's presence for emotional support. One day, after months of small interactions, Anna realized how much Ethan had become part of her life. Her gratitude evolved into admiration, and admiration quietly turned into affection. Ethan, too, found himself drawn to her warmth, resilience, and authenticity, qualities he had longed for in the artificial circles of his high-powered world. The initial accidental text, once a moment of desperation, had now forged a bond neither of them could have predicted. Their story, though unconventional, became a testament to how life's most unexpected moments can alter destinies. From a single mistaken message to a heartfelt connection, their journey highlighted the power of compassion, courage, and chance. What began as an accident had transformed into a relationship built on respect, trust, and eventually, love. Anna's life had changed forever, not just because of financial support, but because someone saw her, truly saw her, and responded with kindness and empathy. In turn, Ethan discovered the joy of touching a life in a way that money alone could never achieve. Together, they stepped into a new beginning, one filled with hope, opportunity, and the promise of a brighter future, for Anna, her baby, and for Ethan, who had learned that even the richest hearts can find richness in humanity.